We moved into that little house when our daughter, Emily, was only 6 months old. It wasn't much, just 2 bedrooms, creaky floors, and a big oak tree outside her window. But it was quiet, and after years in the city, we thought we finally had peace. And for a while, we did. We bought a baby monitor, one of those new ones with night vision and sound detection. It made us feel safe because we could hear every tiny sound from her crib. But one night, something felt off. It started with a whisper. We were watching TV when we suddenly heard Emily babbling through the monitor, and then she paused, like she was waiting for someone to answer. And then a low voice, not hers, whispered her name. Emily. I looked at my wife, and her face went pale. We turned up the volume, but there was only static. I told her it was probably interference or some neighbor's baby monitor crossing signals. But she didn't believe me. After that, we started leaving the monitor on all night. And every night the voice came back. Sometimes it said little things. The mail will come late, or it's going to rain. But then, it began talking directly to Emily. Do you want to come play with me? The next morning, I was supposed to leave for work early, but my car wouldn't start. I got delayed for nearly an hour, and when I finally got on the road, there was a major accident right where I would have been if I'd left on time. That night, I checked the monitor recording, and right before Emily giggled, the same whisper said, "Daddy will be late tomorrow." We both just stared at each other, not saying a word. Maybe it was a coincidence, but then it happened again. The next night, the voice said, "Mommy will cry tomorrow." And the next morning, my wife got a call. Her mother had passed away in her sleep. After that, we couldn't ignore it anymore. From that night on, we left the monitor on every single night. And I know that sounds insane, but the voice started giving warnings that saved us. One night it whispered, "Don't go outside." So we didn't. And the next morning, we found that a massive branch from the oak tree had crashed right onto the porch, right where we usually sat after dinner. Another night it said, "Stay away from the road." The next day, a gas truck overturned 2 blocks from our street. Every warning came true, and we told ourselves, maybe, whatever this was, it wasn't trying to hurt us. Maybe it was protecting us. But then, everything changed. One night we heard the voice talking to Emily again. "Do you like games?" it asked. "Do you want to come play with me?" And Emily babbled back, giggling like she understood. We couldn't take it anymore, so we moved her crib into our room. We weren't going to let her out of our sight. We took turns staying awake, one of us always watching the monitor while the other slept beside her. On the 3rd night, it was my turn to stay up. I sat in the dark, the monitor glowing faintly on the nightstand. Emily was sleeping soundly between us. My wife's hand rested on her little arm. Then, the monitor crackled, and the voice came again, softer, closer. "Daddy, you can't stop it." My heart stopped. I looked at the screen, and there was only static. Then it whispered again, right into the microphone. 3 days. That was it. Just those 2 words. I woke my wife up, and we agreed to keep the monitor on, but never let Emily out of our sight. So, for the next 3 days, we barely slept. We just waited. The first day passed, and nothing happened. The second day came and went, and I almost convinced myself it was just a trick of our imagination. But then came the 3rd night. We were so exhausted, and even though we tried to stay awake in shifts, at some point, we both drifted off. I remember holding Emily's tiny hand, feeling her fingers curl around mine. And then, everything went quiet. The next thing I heard was a siren, an ambulance, loud and close. I sat up, disoriented. The red lights were flashing through the window. My wife was already standing, looking toward the crib. Empty. Emily was gone. We screamed her name, running through the house, out into the yard, barefoot and shaking. We searched everywhere, the porch, the woods, the street. But there was no trace of her. The monitor was still on, humming with soft static. Within minutes, the police and paramedics arrived. Everything after that felt like a blur. My wife was sobbing, barely able to speak. I couldn't even feel my own body. One of the paramedics stayed behind while the others searched the area. He looked around the room, then at the monitor, and asked quietly, "You said you just moved here, right?" I nodded. He hesitated, like he wasn't sure he should tell me, and then he said, "There used to be another family in this house, years ago. They had a baby too. Same room, same window. I didn't say anything. I just listened." He went on. The mother told the police she heard voices through the baby monitor, said it warned her about things that kept coming true. They thought she was imagining it. I could barely breathe. "What happened to them?" I asked. He looked down and said quietly, "They lost the baby. She disappeared from that same bed. No one ever found her. The mother never recovered. The house stayed empty for years." He left the room after that, and I just stood there, staring at the monitor on the nightstand. The static started to fade, and then I heard it. A tiny giggle. Emily's giggle. And then the voice whispered, calm and familiar, "Daddy, I told you. You can't stop it." The screen flickered, and for a second, I saw her, Emily, standing in the doorway, smiling. But when I blinked, she was gone. The door was still closed. The room was empty. Now, every night, I still turn the monitor on. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm scared to stop listening. Maybe because I want to hear her again. Sometimes I think I can hear her breathing. Sometimes she laughs. And sometimes when the static hums, I hear the other voice again. It says my name, and then it whispers, "Daddy, you're next."